This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Elder Olafsson, the CEO of AEX Gold. Hello, Elder. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us today. The company have released some exciting exploration news from the 2021 exploration program. Results have more than doubled the Vegar Ridge footprint, confirming its potential to be a multi-million ounce prospect and confirming the presence of multiple high-grade orogenic gold veins, with grades up to 86.7 grams per ton gold. So how significant is this news for the Vegar prospect?
Well, it is extremely significant, and we couldn't be more pleased. The idea with the work program last year was to do geophysical surveys, which have never been done on this highly prospective area, hyperspectral surveys and some sampling. And what they do, these surveys, is that they show us what the human eye can't see, right, or sampling. They give us a better understanding down deep, underneath the rocks, underneath any kind of overburden that might be there in terms of scree and other things. And so for us to give it a larger size and to find these other high-grade veins, but more importantly, to have the gold discovered again and again in the host rock, in the granite, that gives this area, especially Vegar, so much potential in relation to be, potentially a world-class deposit, and therefore we're extremely pleased.
Okay. And when it says in the RNS that Vegar has the potential to be a multi-million ounce prospect, does this mean the company? Does the company mean that the potential resource of Vegar could be several million ounces, or as suggested in the RNS, is there potential for multiple mineralized multi-million ounce vein targets?
Yeah, any resource statement or anything obviously needs to be drilled. But let me put it out like this. So we have this Vegar Ridge, which has to date the most of the exploration in the overall license, and you can actually see that on the picture here. It's a very simple ridge that comes to surface if you follow my mouse here, and on this top of this ridge here, you have all of these outcrops that are just both veins and granite diorites coming to the surface, right? And what we do by doing geophysics, we start looking into the rocks which are a little bit away from the ridge and up and down the ridge. So previously, we just knew that this ridge was about 2 kilometers. Now we've extended that for 4 kilometers. We also just knew that, really this outcrop was what we were looking for, but now we've extended over 3 kilometers in this direction here. So the footprint, when we say a footprint, it gives us an idea how deep it is to a potential mineralization and how large it is. So following all of this work with all of these fantastic grades, et cetera, you then can start putting your drill rigs here in systematic way to drill this out to understand the scale. And to your question about scale, the scale is determined by obviously the how much high-grade material, organic vein, but also if there's gold in what we call the host rock, so in between those veins. And what that means is that if I just take, for example, on average, and this is very much kind of a thumb-sucking number, so bear with me, but if you look at this ridge here, which is a roughly 4 kilometer and 3 kilometer wide, and this is maybe half a kilometer high, and you would just say this is all mineralized, not to a 90 gram per ton, but like 2 gram per ton, right? You would be looking at a multi-million ounce deposit, right? And it would be at surface. So that's the potential. And what is so encouraging and so exciting about this deposit is that every single years of exploration, every single time we stick down a drill hole we get, or a sampling, we're getting 2,000 gram per ton. We're getting 70 gram per ton over 13 meter in a drill hole. We're finding more and more and more and more. So they're like, what we as a company always try to do is that we try to disprove our own theory, but the theory is always just advancing and dancing this to become a larger and larger play.
Okay. So what gives you confidence then that this could be a multi-million ounce? And you said in the RNS potential to be a globally significant discovery. Does that come from just the sheer fact that you're finding these incredibly high grades time and time again?
It comes from various different effects. So first of all, we've done how an exploration like this works is that we start by doing a mineral system model, try to understand how did Greenland connect to, for example, Canada, Sweden, Finland, and does it make sense for this to have the geology, the age, and everything to host something like this? Do we have evidence? And that is a given. Greenland sits in one of the most prospective areas in the world. Then we start doing work, first desktop, and then physical work, sampling, drilling, geophysical work where we fly helicopter over. And every single time we are both the rock formation, the grades, the geophysical signatures is giving us all of the thumbs up evidence. So like in many other countries, let me put it this way, you would be doing exploration like this one, and there would be an overburden of forest or massive vegetation or something like that. You wouldn't see any of that. So this is significantly de-risked. This is a discovery. All what we're trying to do right now is to quantify. And every single time we start quantifying, it becomes bigger and bigger in our mind.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the hyperspectral imaging, if I can, that you use as part of this program. Could you say a little bit about how the technique works, but also how significant the 50-kilometer deformation zone identified is that extends throughout your licenses?
No, surely. So by the way, just right before we go into hyperspectral, because what we are trying to do, both with this asset and Nalunaq and Sava and all of our assets, is to create an exploration methodology that allows us to not only find one area, but in this case, and where we say in this press release here, potential 5 other areas. And when we say something like that, we're using the data from this ridge, and then we run geophysics over all of the 50 kilometers licenses, and all of a sudden we see the same signatures, the same recipe as is happening here in other different areas. So what a hyperspectral imagery does, it's a new technique, it's not very known. And the reason why it's not very known is that you cannot use it everywhere in the world. Effectively, what it does is that in this ridge here, you have veins, and these veins are maybe 1 or 2 meters thick. They come through here, we found another vein here. But in between those veins, we have granite. And granite, or granodiorite, I should say, it's a certain type of granite. And this granite, in some areas, it's altered. It's a little bit different colored. The human eye can't see it, but what we've done is that we've taken that altered mineralized granodiorite, we've taken it to a lab in Germany. They have created a hyperspectral imager signature, and then effectively what we did is that we put a camera here and we took pictures of the ridge. So what the human eyes can't see, the hyperspectral image can see, and then you can start seeing where the altered granodiorite are. So when you're targeting or drilling, you're targeting that, the best graded bit. And subject to this working, because we believe it works, right? Then, when you are drilling, you're much more focused on the big zone with the highest amount of gold in it. And that was part of all the testing. And that is essentially what we will be doing also in effectively, this is only the Vegar ridge here that you're looking in the picture. Now we've done the geophysics over all of these areas. We have 5 other areas. Some of them have been sampled in the past, some of them not. But they are showing us those signatures. And we'll be running hyperspectral on those as well after we drill Vegar ridge out. Yeah.
Okay. And this resource can export, or this anomaly, if you like, this extends all the way through your neighbouring licenses.
Correct.
Okay. So what are the next stages then for Vegar? We're looking at some more drilling. You've said you've identified 5 targets, is that right?
Yeah, so this is, the Vegar is ready for drilling, right?
Yeah.
The question is really if we test some of these other targets as well. But our key focus is to start with the low-hanging fruit, which would be to drill this ridge here. And effectively, we put rigs down here at both sides of it, and we are testing all of the geology, like understand like 4 times 3. Ideally, we want to test all of the rocks, sample everything, understand the scale of this, right? Once we understand the scale, and we are saying, okay, we believe this is support further that this is very, very large. Then after that, like following years, we would start systematically drilling this down to a certain meter spaces to drill for resources. So this year, hopefully, we'll be in a position to drill all of this area to understand the scale, and the following year will be systematic drilling. While what we are interested in doing as well is to test some of these other targets as well, but that hasn't been decided on already. But that would be very interesting for us, because some of these geological anomalies, for example, this one here in Vegar and Tomsvein are extremely interesting, and they're very close to the fjord as well, which would make it very ideal for mining in the future.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for that. Just a final thought on Greenland. Considering it is sort of opening up a bit more now for some mineral exploration and miners, do you believe there's potential for some serious scale deposits to be discovered in Greenland, not just on your own areas, but in Greenland in general?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And that's been the story of Greenland since 2009. Like again and again and again, elephant discovery or major world-class discovery have been discovered since 2009 in all of the different commodity sectors. Down in South Greenland, we already have 3 largest rare earth deposits. We think we have the gold deposit. And mind you, this is not because I've got the geology right and I'm so smart in geology. It's just so simple. I mean, you can see it on the picture where it is. And this is like starting in South Africa in 1900. You're just starting there, right? And why? And the impact of this, especially in the world that we are today, where people are or companies are scrambling for minerals, and more importantly, they're scrambling for minerals where you can know the source of the mineral, how it's mined, under what jurisdiction, and are you protected from the threats that we are faced in the world today. So Greenland will be and is becoming to be the frontier that is extremely important for the Western world. And you can see that the Americans have already set up a consulate there. There is a lot of interest in various different parts of other regions there. Most of the land in Greenland of any prospective in nature is already taken. So this is very much the place to be, I would say, today. Okay.
Oh, good. Well, I look forward to learning a bit more about the project and Greenland, and we can do a special feature on the project with either you or someone from the company. It's a fascinating place. But Elder Olafsson, the CEO of AEX Gold, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.